So our first cup of coffee. Cheers, everyone. Day 2 of the negotiations. And orange juice. Coffee and orange juice. Slash hot chocolate, because that's what that size tastes like. Should we just go around and introduce ourselves very quickly? So I'm Kaya. I'm from New York, and I'm here with Climate Countdown and Cup of Coffee and Citizens Voice and other things.
And I'm Paul. I live in Minnesota, and I'm here with Citizens Climate Lobby and Citizens Voice.
I'm Naomi. I'm from the US, but I live in Denmark. And I'm here with Pathway to Paris and Citizens Climate Lobby.
I'm Harrison. I'm also from the US. I go to Macalester College and I'm here doing research.
I'm Mortune. I'm from Dublin, and I'm here with Pathway to Paris and Citizens Climate Lobby.
I'm Mindy. I'm from the US, and I'm here with Citizens Voice and Citizens Climate Lobby.
Beautiful. Okay, so I thought just because we're starting off, so yesterday was mainly just a day of lots of leaders making statements and kind of kicking everything off. My impression was that there was a lot of really good rhetoric coming out of yesterday, and so now the question is if that can go into very good action. And it seems like as we're watching how these negotiations unfold, it seems important not just to look at the specifics of the agreement, but also, I mean, thousands of people are here in Paris for COP21. It is the momentous occasion. So not just looking at what's happening in the really official negotiations, but what's happening on the periphery as well, and other contributions that are being made by other people and civil society and industry and mayors and all sorts of things. So I thought we'll just talk a little bit about role of youth as you're a student and recent student. So Harrison, you want to talk us a little bit about what you're doing here?
Yeah, I'm doing research, so I can't protest. But I'm doing research on climate displaced peoples, so people that have been pushed by climate-induced events from their homes, and how those people are treated, and the humanitarian gaps in the laws governing that. They don't get refugee status, this type of thing. And I'm specifically focusing on Bangladesh, as that's slated to be the most climate change devastated country, looking to produce upwards of 50 million climate refugees by 2050. I've seen numbers as high as 200 million. So that's pretty crazy. That's worldwide, the 200 million.
Wow.
And we have 40 million refugees now worldwide, and no ability to handle that at all. And that doesn't include environmentally induced migrants. So I've been doing interviews leading up to this COP with Bangladeshi representatives, Bangladeshi delegates, Bangladeshi climate scientists, Bangladeshi nonprofits, and I'll be following up those interviews at COP and hopefully meeting some new people. So that would be cool too.
And are you looking to see like what's being put into the agreement, or what announcements are being made here to try to address this problem, or?
I'm really interested in how they're representing themselves at COP21, and whether or not their rhetoric changes from home to negotiations.
Amazing. Okay. And do you want to talk a little bit about what you see as your role as a young person coming to the negotiations and kind of why you're here?
Yeah. So I suppose when you look at all the leaders across the world, they're all middle-aged, sometimes actually quite old. So I think it's important that if the young people can't get into the negotiations, at least they're around at the events and trying to project what young people actually think and what young people need as a climate change deal. And so that's why it's important that we have young people at the negotiations. If they're not able to get into the rooms, at least on the fringes, trying to make their voices heard.
It's struck me a couple times talking to young people, it's like this generation is not only inheriting the problems, but also the solutions that are being announced here. So it seems important to know what you're being handed. Does that seem true?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also important that what the people decide at the moment, what the leaders decide at the moment, will actually impact us the most. And so if they go for kind of low emission targets and they aren't ambitious, then it will impact on our lives, and we'll be the ones that deal with the consequences.
Yeah, of course.
I'm an environmental activist when I'm home, so I know a lot of people that are here doing this. One of my best friends, Maria, is the youth leader for the U.S. youth delegation, and I know that she's been in the negotiations now for a few days, and is both meeting with negotiators and doing actions. So that's like an interesting combination, that she's, representing American youth while at the same time protesting and like leading and organizing protests. I know a few of the leaders of the Human Chain protest, as well as the protests in Minnesota, Massachusetts, and New York. I think it's pretty important that, at least to some degree, those international protests are also, if they're not putting pressure, they're at least showing that people are watching.
Eyes on Paris, right?
Yeah.
That seems important. And do you want to talk a little bit about the carbon pricing leadership forum? Brain still on, not enough coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Carbon Pricing Leadership Coalition is actually a group of a lot of leaders that have come together to say that they want to talk about how a price on carbon will be put in place, and that might differ in different countries, but it's a way to start talking about it at an international level, which hasn't, as my knowledge, occurred at this level before. And so eventually, I understand that it'll be a secretariat, somewhat like the UNFCCC. So it's a big step forward that a Citizens Climate Lobby is really excited about. And I think maybe we'll hear about that later with our cup of espresso. Shot of espresso.
Shot of espresso.
Yeah.
So that seems like that's a very clear example of something that's maybe not going to be in the agreement, but is happening on the periphery in new ways.
Yeah. I saw a wonderful graphic recently that said, well, here's there's the actions that are taking place, and then there's the agreement. And we have to think about both. We can't just think about the paper document as the only thing that comes out of this. It's really about the relationships that occur with different people and the ways that we change how we think about the issue. And another example of that was that the Ethiopian Prime Minister came out yesterday saying that he was in favor of a price on carbon as well. So that's a really great example of saying, well, I thought Ethiopia was a poor country. Why do they want a price on carbon? He's saying, well, this is what's most beneficial for our future, is a stable climate and an economy where our country already has clean energy solutions, clean energy infrastructure in place. So he's really thinking beyond what we usually think about poorer countries.
Okay, this is a good start. Anyways, Paul, do you want to add anything about your thoughts on how we're starting off?
Yes. Well, I think it's exciting that something actually happened the first day that's important. Usually I've been to 3 other COPs, and oftentimes nothing happens until the very end, and then they scramble together and pull out an agreement. And being here with Citizen Voice and doing what we're doing on the ground, I'm wondering if we can't get that idea that other leaders might start talking about carbon pricing. When I look at the headlines today on the New York Times, the future of life is at stake. That's not the normal headline that you would see. And then for Obama to say we are responsible and actually taking credit for the problem, that kind of honesty is, I think, going to lead to some different conversations. So I'm really looking forward from my generation to help their generation. That's a key thing for us now, opening up this intergenerational dialogue and saying we're all in this together. You know, we need our wisdom and we need the action and the energy, of the young people to take this to the next level. So it's very cool being here.
That's great. And Mindy, do you want to kind of finish it off with your thoughts for either how we started off or what you're looking forward to today?
Sure. I was also thinking we started before coming and interviewing some middle school students that we work with regularly that are absolutely amazing young people that are so committed to sustainability and all have projects with their solutions. So it's exciting to see all the different research topics and projects that are happening both here and elsewhere, and how committed young people are to making a difference already and are already making that difference. So I see some of my role in just helping open up the ears of others to see and to hear what it is that that our young voices can contribute. And I think that we're already moving some steps forward. So I think it's very exciting to see that things are happening on the first day, and here we go into day 2. And today is then the opening of civil society's place in the negotiations. So that'll be another important piece of what happens today.
Absolutely. And I think most of us are probably heading up there now. Yeah? All right. Well, thank you for coming together and focusing our thoughts together. And tomorrow morning we'll be somewhere new.
Cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Or hot chocolate.
Citizens' Voice.
Citizens' Voice.
Citizens' voice.
Citizens' Voice.
Citizens' voice.